Evening to all of you, and good morning to Brian uh, because he's joined live from Canada. Welcome to the ninth in the series of Analytics Wednesday, the analytics program that we hold every Wednesday from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Uh, it has been a good series, a lot of good feedback. Up till now, we had mostly general programs, but today is a very specialized niche area program on analytics. First, it is on IDEA, lab, and then again on the pre-built innovative audit apps in IDEA. So it's absolute niche, only for IDEA users. Uh, and again, those who use IDEA quite well. So we have the world expert on it, Brian, because I think he's instrumental in building many of those scripts and bringing them to the Idea Lab. So it is directly from him that we learn about, what are the major scripts, what are the main audits apps which are available to us, and how can you use Idea Lab to its potential. So naturally, if I just scroll through the participant list today, most of them are expert IDEA users. So today's program is being attended by many expert IDEA users, a very small batch of people, but this program will be recorded and will be made available to anyone who uses IDEA on our Sama YouTube channel. So I will not spend time on Sama audit today, but I'll just formally introduce Brian Element to you. I'd also like to thank the Trade Commission in India, Canada. The Government of Canada Trade Commissioner Office has supported this series, which is being held along with Caseware Idea. Some audit hosts this along with Caseware Idea, though the topic may not always be Idea, but it is to do with analytics, because as we have said in the past, Idea has got built linkages with Tableau, with visualization tools, with Python, so that it becomes more widely used and it is beneficial to the users across the world. As people experiment more and more with analytics, use more and more analytic solutions, machine learning, artificial intelligence, other solutions are being built into IDEA and other than IDEA. So there'll be a lot of integration happening over a period of next 2-3 years in terms of IDEA, other packages, working papers, internal audit solutions, internal audit working paper solutions, statutory audit, external audit working paper solutions, and so on. There's already solutions available from Caseware for analytics on the cloud, and more solutions will get integrated on the cloud so that it becomes very easy for professionals to, whether they are a CPA firm or whether they are in industry, to use those solutions for becoming more efficient and effective in terms of their delivery. Now, I'll just formally introduce Brian to you. Brian is an industry strategist, solutions lead with Caseware. He previously worked for the Canadian federal government for over 30 years, where he finished his career as a financial advisor with Public Services and Procurement Canada on the data analytics team. He has used IDEA extensively in external audits, internal audits, special exams, and internal control testing. For the past 18 years, Brian has been a Caseware IDEA trainer and was instrumental in developing resources for IDEA users, including the IDEA support site, ideascripting.com. Many of you as expert users would have visited ideascripting.com, downloaded scripts from there, where Brian has put in very useful utilities and scripts over there. Again, now we have got a lot of pre-built innovative audit apps within IDEA Lab. So over to you, Brian.
Thank you very much, Deepti. I appreciate that. Good day to everyone. So just give me a second to share my screen here. Oops. Okay, I can't share my screen right now.
Brian, I've made you the host.
All right.
And I think you should be able to share your screen.
It says host disabled participant screen sharing. That's what I'm getting right now.
Just 1 minute.
Okay.
You should have the share screen button at the bottom of your screen.
Yeah, no, I hit on that and I'm getting host disabled participant screen sharing. I'm not too sure what.
Okay, just give me a minute.
Okay,
I'm going to
thanks.
reclaim the host and I'm going to make you the host once again.
Okay.
Can you just check if you can
Oh, there
do
we
it now?
go. There we go. Thank you.
Thank you.
That worked. So, okay, so good day, everyone. Just let me find here. I got a little presentation. So I'm just going to walk you through, give you kind of the background of the Idea Lab, what it is, why we created it, you know, what are the different tools that are involved that we've put in here and everything like that. And then I'll go in and I have a whole slew of different plugins that are from the Idea Lab. Some of them that are already there. Some of them I will give you a sneak peek of items that will be out in the near future. So I'll be doing lots of demonstrations for you. So just kind of give you a bit of background. So the Idea Lab was a concept that was created that we could create plugins, or we're calling plugins, that you could download from a central repository, namely the Idea Lab, install on Idea, and then be able to access it just like any other type of task within Idea, so that it becomes really seamless for the user in that they don't have to know Idea scripting, they don't really have to know Idea and everything like that to use these. All they have to do is be able to access, you know, open Idea, go to the Idea interface, find the Idea Lab ribbon, and select the test that they want to run, and the test will run much like any of the other tasks within Idea. So the Idea Lab also is like working prototypes. So some of these things may eventually find their way into Idea. So we're using this to sort of test them out, see, you know, if the users like it or not and everything like that. And ultimately, in future versions of Idea, many of these tests may end up as part of the actual program. So these are working prototypes. So right now they are based on Idea script macros and Python script. So whenever we're creating any of these Idea Lab items, we'll look at what we want to do. And sometimes the more efficient way to do it is to write it in Idea script. Sometimes it is in Python, because maybe we're doing tests that aren't kind of like so native to what Idea can do. So we're using Python to actually perform the analysis. So this is great because it allows us to create plugins that you probably couldn't easily use or run within Idea, or use it in Idea script, because now we have the access to Python. So far, Smart Analyzer apps, all the Smart Analyzer apps that we've created, we've been putting it in the Passport. So there's no current Smart Analyzer apps in the Idea Lab, but there may be in the future. But for right now, it's just the Idea scripts and Python scripts. And to get access to this, you do need Idea 11 or higher to access this. So all of these plugins, they're free. They're accessible to anybody. The only caveat is you have to be a licensed user of Idea 11 or higher to access these plugins. So if you've got them all installed, this basically is what your Idea Lab ribbon would look like. So as you can see, we've got about, I think, 12 or 13 different plugins that are available currently. And I'm going to walk you through different ones. Right now, I'm just going to quickly go through the different plugins that are currently available, so you can sort of understand them. So we got different plugins, kind of explore. We got one to get next, get previous. I find this is really interesting. This was actually came for a request from one of my colleagues. If you're in the idea community, you may have heard of him, Sundar G. He's written a book on fraud analytics. He's done lots of different webinars and everything for the ACFE and everything like that. So this was something he did because he specializes in point of sale type of audits and everything like that. And so what he was looking for was a plugin that allows you to go in and say, you know, if you got a void transaction, you want to see what the transactions are around the void. So this allows you to, you know, find X number of transactions before the void and after the void. So then you can go in and do some kind of analysis, like was there something different that happened just before the void that caused the void and everything. So this was interesting. So like I said, this was a suggestion actually from a user of idea. And a lot of these plugins come from user requests. They're just not me thinking it up, but generally they have come through, you know, people talking with me, people sending in requests to idea to develop stuff and everything. So, you know, these are you know, great way to make these, because there's users out there that want to use this and need these type of plugins. The next one is unique records. So this one is, it's kind of an add-on to the duplicate key detection. What it does is instead of, what it'll do is it'll show all the unique records for the file. So that would include duplicates and non-duplicates, because sometimes users want to see, you know, all the different unique records. So it's just another way, instead of you doing a summary, you're doing a unique record. So it's just another way of doing it. We got some advanced analysis. So we get the range join. So just joins records between two databases based on a range. So maybe the range is a range of dates. We got fuzzy joins. This is really cool because it allows you two databases to look for possible duplicates. So this is an excellent test when you've got like a file, like a vendor file, a vendor address file, and your employee address file. And you can do a fuzzy join based on the address files. So you can go in and look and see which employees may also be vendors of the company. So, you know, because of this, it makes things a lot easier to find, you know, possible fraud, because you may have employees that also have set up vendors, but they're just using the same address. We've got the text analysis plugin that allows you to parse and analyze a report file, and then it imports the results into IDEA and creates a sentiment analysis. So it's looking, you know, is this positive or negative? And actually for the text analysis, we are working now on version 2, as we've had a customer that is interested in doing more with it. And what this will do is, instead of right now, it only looks at one file at a time, this will analyze maybe 100 files. So you can select the multiple files, or you can select the folder for it to analyze, and it'll go through, analyze all the reports, and it'll generate an overall report, and the user can use keywords. So if you're looking for like IT audit or something like that, it will pull out all the reports that relate to IT audit. So I think this is something that's really good, and I'm looking forward to the release of the next version of the text analysis. Relative size factor. This one is one that I've sort of been interested in for quite a while. So it looks for anomalies where the largest amount field value for subsets in each key is outside the norm for those subsets. So it's doing sort of a comparison of the largest amount with the second largest and the average amounts and everything like that, to see if there's any type of outliers. This one, actually, I learned about this one from one of Dr. Mark DeGrini's books on fraud analytics. And this was sort of one of the older ones, actually, I created. And I read about the book, and I thought it was so interesting that I developed it in IDEA, and we've now created it as a plugin. And then this may be something that may be, you know, added into IDEA in the future. We got Panda Profiling, which is always very popular. So this allows you to go into the database and pick up additional stats and charts. So within IDEA, we have the field stats that gives us basic information on the different fields within the database. The Panda Profiling is kind of field stats on steroids. It allows you to do all type of additional information, or get all type of additional information from there, along with creating histograms and other types of information depending on the type of the file. So if you're trying to get an understanding of what your file contains, I highly recommend you try out the Panda's profiling because it gives you excellent information on the different components, the different fields within your file, and it gives you it'll give you some type of outliers. They'll give you the upper, minimum, maximum, the mean, the median. It gives you all that type of information. Word find. This creates a summary of all the words from a selected text field within an IDEA database. And actually, that's the old version. We've just upgraded it to version 2, which I'll be doing a demonstration of in a few minutes. So we've greatly enhanced the word find and what you can do, and I think you'll find it quite interesting. Z-score calculator. This allows us to calculate the Z-score on a numeric field. So we can do the Z-score. So if people may not remember what the Z-score is, it's basically the standard deviation from within a file. So it calculates the number of standard deviations that the transaction is from the mean. So it's great for figuring out outliers within your file, either high value or low value. So this one can do the entire file, the overall file, or we are able to do basically a subset of the file. So look at it from maybe the product code point of view or the accounts point of view or something like that. Next, we have the trial balance and transaction reconciliation. This is a plugin that has become quite popular because it'll take two files, one a trial balance and one a transaction reconciliation, and merge the two together and do an analysis and flag any discrepancies or differences between the two files. We've got the outliers. This one, so this one's been around. This is one of our first ones here. So it looks for unusual items. We're using Python in the background with different types of algorithms to look for outliers. We have the currency converter. Currency converter we've had some problems with over the past several months, not actually because of the application, but because of the websites that we access to pull down the information. So we've just recently posted a new currency converter up there, and now we are looking at multiple sites. We're seeing which sites are online, and we are getting the information from there. So anybody who has used the currency converter in the past, they may want to go re-download it as of, I think, this week. We've updated it. Top ranks ranking with ranking. So this is top records extraction. It allows you to rank your top records, and then you can go in and sort of order them by the different ranks. So you can pull out all the high ranking or the first ranking items. Just the last thing before we actually go in and start looking at these different items is that the Panda's profiling, or sorry, not the Panda's profiling, but the steps to actually go in and do this, and I'll just walk you through it within IDEA in a minute, is that you want to download the plugin with you, and it'll be a zip file. So all of our plugins are in zip files. So within the zip file, there's an executable file in there. So you've got to run the executable file, and once that's run, that will install the plugin. It will install the all the icons that are necessary. So everything you need is there. All you have to do is run the executable file. The only thing you have to do is if IDEA is open when you do this, you have to close IDEA and reopen it for you to view the icon. So with that, let's jump over to IDEA. Just give me a sec. So here we go. So within IDEA, we've got the IDEA Lab. So like I was just saying, anytime we want to access anything, so if we wanted to get more items from the IDEA Lab, all we do is we click on the IDEA Lab, and this will open up in your default browser access to the IDEA Lab. Now, if I tried to access this outside of IDEA, so if I copied this link and just tried this link, you're getting an error. The only way to access this is through IDEA. And currently, the website and many of our scripts are available in English, French, Spanish, and German. And we are in the process of updating our plugins to Turkish also. So that's an ongoing process. So I think there's only 2 that have been updated, but we're in the process of slowly updating them. So over the coming weeks and months, you'll be seeing more and more of the plugins available in Turkish. So in each one here, we can go in and we can see the different item. You can download it. We can go in and learn more. Within the learn more, generally there's a video, a how-to video on how to use it. So you can go in and watch it. There's a place to add comments if you want, anything. So we're always open to comments, suggestions. You know, many of the comments have asked us for improvements, and as we have time and we look at that, we take these improvements to heart, and we try to add them into the plugin if we think it fits. All right, so now let's go look at some of the different items here. So I'm just going to open up one of my files, a general ledger file. And maybe the first one I'm going to do is I'm going to do the relative size factor test. So like I said, I got this one from out of one of Dr. Mark Negrini's books. And what it does is it does a comparison of the largest transaction to the second largest transaction. So maybe here we are interested in the largest transaction, with the second largest transaction by account number. And we can have different groupings. So much like index fields in any of the IDEA different tasks, we can create different groupings on up to different 8 fields. In this instance, I'm just going to do 1. And in this one, we're just interested in the positive items here. So I'm just going to click on OK. So it just runs the test. It takes a second to run in the background. And there we go. So here is our result. So what it's done is it's taken the general ledger file and broken it down by account number, which was the field that I selected in the index. And here we've got the largest amount, the second largest amount within that. We've got the average of all the amounts, excluding the largest, and the relative size factor. So if I want to see here, the relative size factor, so here we can see where for account 9300, the largest is amount 2,400, the second largest is $95. And for the second one here, it's 21,000 is the largest amount. The second largest is only 874. So these are huge relative size factors. So, you know, this may be normal. It may indicate an error. You know, this is also a great test for finding errors within your population, because maybe if somebody had entered in an extra 0 or 2 zeros in a transaction, so all of a sudden it becomes another magnitude larger, it would show up on the relative size factor test. So it's a great way to look at items that may be in error, and also like unusual items where you've got one large one and lots of small ones, and you know, like what's kind of going on here. Like maybe here's a 63110, the largest is 50, the second largest is 10,000, but the average here is 539. So that's kind of unusual. Maybe it's not for this account, but it's kind of an indicator. So like this is just dealing with red flags here. And I think it's a good test to run because it does give you potential red flags that you may be interested in or asking questions more for the client. The next one I'm going to show you is the reconciliation. So this is, like I said, this is quite a popular one. Just one sec. So the reconciliation takes 2 files. So I already have 2 files available. So I have a trial balance file that has my account number, account description, the amount, and I've also got credit and debit because you can use credit and debit fields in this if you want. And I have the, oops, sorry, the wrong file. I also have the transaction file. So in theory, anytime that you want, before doing an audit or doing any type of analysis and you get your data, what you also want to do is do some type of reconciliation. Generally, you do the reconciliation back to a trial balance so that you know that the file that you're using for your analysis contains all the transactions related to the trial balance that you are auditing. So in order to perform this, I'll just select the Tbgl Reconciliation. So first file here is I want the trial balance file. So you got to select the amount field, the account number, I'll go change this, the account description. Also, in here we've set it up that if there's another amount field, but only debit and credit fields, you can use the debit and credit fields also instead. Next, I want to select the transaction file. And again, I select the amount field, account number, and the account description. So once this is all set up, I just click on OK. And this goes in and it performs the reconciliation between the 2 files. Complete. So one of the outputs is reconciliation differences. So here I have 2 differences where the difference is both $100. One is a debit and one is a credit. So this could mean that we have a transaction that was misclassified. So that may be something for follow-up. And other than that, we can go back and look at the other files that were created. So we have a trial balance and transaction reconciliation. So it shows us the trial balance account number, account description, the amount. We also got the link so we can link to the transactions to do a lookup. And here within the differences, we see we got the $100 here, and down at the bottom we got another $100. So this is an easy way to perform a reconciliation. And I know since we've put this up on the Idea Lab, it's probably been up there. I don't know. I'm not sure if it's been up there 2 months yet. It is quite quite popular. And this is one that actually was requested by a couple of our clients that are accounting firms, because generally it takes a bit of time to do a reconciliation. So here's the GL to general ledger reconciliation, but you could probably use this for a bank reconciliation or anything else where you've got one file that contains the totals and another file that contains all the different transactions. Then you can go in and do this test and do a reconciliation. And once everything's reconciled, then you can actually start your analytics. Let me just close all here. Open up the general ledger again. Next one maybe we'll look at is the Z calculator. Excuse me. So like I said before, the Z calculator allows us to calculate the number of standard deviations a transaction or the amount is from the median, or the average of the file. So we have one option here where we could do the Z-score calculator basically by the amount field. So this will do it over the entire file. And if I click on OK, I'll just go run this file. It's a quick file. So here we can see that we now have a Z-score field. And we can order it, and we can see that, you know, $61,000 is actually like 18.5 standard deviations from the mean. So these are like large outliers. And if you notice too, these also were picked up by the relative size factor test. So it's kind of cool when you start to combine these different tests. Lots of times items that are unusual, you know, may get flagged in multiple different items. So it's always interesting to look at different items. And we can see here just going down. So here we've got, these are all items that are greater than 1 standard deviation, 2 standard deviations. And if we scroll down, we will hit at one point, sorry. So 1 point here, you know, we're seeing that, okay, looks like, you know, 5.75 is the mean for this file, because the Z-score is like almost 0.001. So this is right at the mean. So this is a great way to do different outliers. Another fun thing you can do with this, if I rerun this again, is not only can I run the Z-score on the entire file, but I can also do groupings. So maybe I'm interested in figuring out, okay, the Z-score by the account numbers. And if I click on OK, what it does is it'll create a summary file and then add on the Z-score to that summary file. So here again, now when we're looking at by account numbers, you know, 62,000 is only 2, not quite 3 standard deviations. And here we got one account here that is 5 standard deviations. So it allows you to group stuff. So it's just allowing you to view the information in different ways that could be useful based on whatever audit you're performing and the knowledge of the information. And you got to remember, like, that's what IDEA is. It allows you to go in and take the raw data, the transactional data, and do stuff to it to view it in different ways that allows you to look for different types of anomalies. So the Z-score relative size factor test, these are just different options that allow you to do that. I'm gonna close this down. Next one, let's just go see. We'll open this up. Next one is I'm going to do the word find. So the word find, we've upgraded quite a bit. Just open this up. Takes a second to open up. So the word find was originally in IDEA script, and now we've moved it over and we've rewritten the script in Python. That's why you can sort of see that the dialogue looks differently. These generally are what the Python dialogues look like. The previous dialogues that I've been using in the other plugins, they all are IDEA script. So first thing we want to do is we want to know the database. So we'll select the database name. We got to select the field. So I'm going to just use the description. Now we have all these other options here. So things that we can do is now we have keyword file. So if you've already got a list of words that you want to use, you don't have to recreate that each time. You could just go in and open up a text file. I don't actually have one here. I didn't create one. But if you had the text file already created where it is 1 word per line, you could go in and use that. So maybe you've gone and found a list of keywords you want to go search for. You know, there's many places out on the web that has this type of information on different types of keywords or different types of audits if you go searching around. So you can find that. If you want to add in your own keywords, we can just go in. So maybe I am looking for, let's see, let's go look at oh, maybe I'm looking for this time associates. So I just want to type in THYME, and I can add this to the list. So now that I'm looking for words, I have a few more other options here. Is I can say, okay, I'm looking for only exact matches, or we can also do fuzzy matches. So that is another option that's new in this word find, in that instead of looking for exact matches, that now we can look for items that are fuzzy, much like you were looking for, you know, the fuzzy join when we're looking up for addresses that may or may not, you know, actually sort of match up, looking for close matches. We can do the same thing for words within your description. So this is probably good also like for an address field. So you're looking for stuff that may or may not, you know, be close. So we have this option here. We can also add a field with match keywords. So when we're looking for these certain keywords, we actually get a file and it'll show you, okay, we are extracting this transaction because it found this keyword. Other things here I really like is we also have the option to choose words to extract. So a lot of times with these type of programs, we're using this generic, you know, text file that contains all these words that may or may not relate to your actual file. And that's good, but I always like it to actually be able to look through the words within the file itself. So here, if I choose words to extract, once I run this, I'm going to be given a list of all the words within this field, and then I can go in and select these. So I can go in and look for, you know, stuff that's maybe unusual. And from the keywords to find, I can save this so I can create my text file that maybe I'll use the next time I do it. So once I've set this up, I'm just going to click on OK. So just creating different files in the background. You can see we got a progress bar. There we go. So here is my words found. And we can see here it has a number. So the number is the frequency, how many times it was found in the file. And these are all the list of the words. So maybe here, okay, I've got birthday. I want to add that. Gift, yes. Whoops. Definitely. Reversal. Yeah, I want to add that. Incentive. Yeah, these are all, you know, good words for flags and everything like that. So I'm just going to add these to the keyword list to see, okay, what are these transactions that these relate to? Then I'll just click on OK. I have the option to save this. So maybe I want to save this to use it in a future file. So I can just say yes. And I'll just call it word find. And it just saves it as a text file that I can use the next time I'm running this application. So now it's just pulling out those words. Takes another second. So some of the things that create, so this word find actually creates many different files to look at. One of them is this chart, so to open up in your whatever your default browser is. That, you know, it's just a sort of a word cloud that shows the different words that are within there. And we can see, you know, the biggest word is paycheck. And then we got purchases, we got sales and everything like that. So those are the main ones. If we go back to IDEA, we've created several different files. Here we've got a file that contains the top 20 words that were used. So we can see paycheck is the largest. If we hover over it, we can see the frequency is 523. So there's 523, so paycheck showed up 523 times in this file. Sale showed up 353. So it gives us the top 20. Here we've got the history of all the words. So we can go in and see any of them. Other things we can do is all these different words are hyperlinked. So suppose I want to see the transactions. Oh, with soccer. I can just click on this. So just take a second to run. And here we've got a display of our soccer transactions that then, of course, we can just go in and either save or do whatever we want with. If we go back to idea, and here is our actual words. So here's our matched words. So here's our birthday gift. So here's our transaction with birthday gift. Here is our reversal. And maybe we just want to order it by matched words. So here up, this is our incentive transaction. So it pulls off all the different transactions. It shows you which word was matched because these are short descriptions, but sometimes you may have longer descriptions. So it may not always be readily obvious about how to go in and actually, get the which word is associated with this transaction. So I really like this word find. I think it's really cool. I think it's quite useful. We've built many of these functionalities into the exceptional exceptions GL. So a lot of the things you're seeing here are also available with the exceptional exceptions GL. So I want to show you a few other items here. The next couple of ones are not out in the Idea Lab yet. We're in the final process of just finalizing them, getting them translated and everything like that. So a few of these will probably be released within the next month or so. So the first one is the subledger sampling. And actually, sorry, I want to use this file here. So the subledger sampling. So this was a request from an accounting firm that uses the exceptional exceptions general ledger. And their request was that sometimes they'll have like the general ledger file, but the general ledger file may actually contain all like the subledgers. Like you'll see that in a lot of systems now, like in SAP, is there's not separate systems for accounts receivable, accounts payable, inventory. They all go into one huge table, and there is usually generally one field, a source field or some type of field like that, that'll indicate, okay, this is like an accounts payable or accounts receivable. And they wanted the functionality of, instead of sampling the entire file, to subsample only portions of it. And it's based on stratified random sampling, because within the exceptional exceptions GL, the output is sampled by risk. So the risk is like high, low, medium, and not applicable. So to use this, you need a file that has already had some kind of stratification information. And then in this scenario here, or in this test here, is that there's a field that indicates whether it is low, medium, or high for the risk. And based on that, we want to do subsampling. So we can do subsampling by account. In this instance, I'm just using the sample detail sales, which is available in our samples folder, and I'm going to do it on the product code. So maybe I want to take individual samples based on these risks by product code instead of sampling on the entire file. So I'll just show you how this works. So again, this is kind of interesting because the A lot of it's written in Python, but a lot of it is accessing idea script. So this is actually a good, if you're learning how to merge Python with idea script and how to go about doing this, this would be a great example once it's released to go in and look at it to see how we're merging the two together. So we want the amount field, so I'm just going to use the sales plus tax. So the stratified field, this would be our low, medium, high. And it could be whatever you want. In this instance, it's based on the risk, but you may have some other criteria that your file is using, and you can use that. And also within the stratified field, this can be either a character field or numeric. And next one is the subset. So what it'll do next, so once I've set this up, is it's going to ask me which product codes is that I want to sample on. So it'll give me the different subpopulations by product code, and then from that I can decide, oh, I want to go subsample based on these different items. So here we've got the subsample. So here, this gives me a list of all the different product codes that are available within my file. And in this instance, I'm just interested in doing two. I'm only basically interested in doing a subsample of product code 3 and product code 5. I click on OK. So what this will do is it will ask me for each one of these product codes what my sample will be. So it's done the analysis. So here it's saying, okay, am I interested in high value items? If I'm not interested in high value items, I'll just leave it blank. But if I am, I can enter in a high value item amount. Then here it's showing me for each of the different fields, or sorry, for each one of the different risks, what is the number of records available, and then I'll go in and say, okay, how many items do I want to use? Like maybe here for low, I want 4, maybe 2, not applicable, I'll just put 0 because I'm just not interested in. And in the background, what this is doing is it's using the stratified random sampling routine task within IDEA. So it's just doing it on a subset for product code 3. So it performs that test. Then it comes up for product code 5 because I asked for both of these. Again, maybe I'll use 80,000. Here, I maybe want 2 high value. I'll do 5 and 5. Oops, I think I hid my, there we go. So once it's done, I'll request a sample have been created. So we go here, do a refresh. So here we're seeing I've got my 2 high values. So it's saying for high value, 10,000 for product code. So it gives me product code 5. So I can see that I've got 5 items that are all my high value. Same thing for product code 3. I've only got 1 item. And then I've got my random samples for the different items. So like this was a request from one of the accounting firms, and I think it was a great request. We decided to test it out first, like kind of a prototype, and place it in the IDEA lab just to get the kinks out and everything like that. But our plan is to add this to the exceptional exceptions GL, so that within, when you go and run the sampling routine within the EEGL, you'll have the option to sample on the entire file or by subsampling, in which case you would get something like this. And I would just like to show you one other item before I'm starting. Well, actually, we're not too bad. Let me close. Let's see if we got time for 2 more. I also want to talk about the currency converter, because like I said, we've updated this, we've improved the speed of it. The latest update is in the lab now. If you've had a previous version, it probably doesn't work anymore because we had problems with the sites we were accessing them. Originally, they were free sites, and they decided to put up a paywall around them so we can no longer access them. So now we found other sites that we're using. All the sites we use all use the European bank conversion rates. So to use the currency converter, we need a few different items. We need the field that indicates the currency that it's in, a numeric field that we want to translate, and the date for the translation. And the date, I believe, off the top of my head, I think it goes back to like 2000. So if you have really old transactions, it probably won't work because the information is not there. Excuse me. So with the currency converter, oops. So I gotta select the currency field. So this is to indicate whether it's US dollars, euros, whatever it may be, the amount field and the date field. And then we want to, okay, so it's only dates after 1999 that are supported. And then we want to put it in whatever currency that's available. So I'm just going to translate this into the euro. I click on OK. So here we've got the new file. So it shows me the amount in the new currency. It also shows us the website that we obtained the information from. So this is good information. You know, if you're doing this, it's always good to know what your host is. So if you want to go do some validations yourself, you know, you're free to do so based on this website. We got the exchange date, the new currency, and so on. With this, we also have different other options, or different other files that are created. We have a file where there's no matches, because in this file here, I've got a couple of currencies that they exist in the database, but the 3 letters that we are using are incorrect. So these are showing up as non-matches, and also we have another file that shows up transactions that don't get translated because they're in the original currency. So the original currency for this one was the euro, and I was translating into the euro, so nothing was done here. So yeah, so the currency summary. So yeah, so I think I like the currency summary. It's pretty cool. It's something we've worked on quite a bit, and we've done lots of updates because of different problems we found over there, mainly because of the websites having problems. So it's getting on to 5.2. I don't know, I'm seeing in the chat, I don't know if there's any questions or anything that have come up.
Yes, I think there are 1 or 2 questions, but I think
okay,
they seem to be answered by the participants themselves, but still I think
you
should have
okay.
a go at it. You should have a go at it. So I think there's a question, trial balance transaction reconciliation plugin. Do you have any practical case study where trial balance does not match with transaction listing when entire process of ledger posting is automated nowadays?
I've seen it. I'm trying to think. Actually, I do have a scenario where I was working previously in my job at the Public Service and Procurement Canada. We usually had reconciliation differences because certain accounts were classified. They were classified payments. They were like for certain employee. I forget exactly what they were for. But because when you're doing the dump of the data, you didn't technically have access to those accounts, you may have the reconciliation differences in your file. So these are like reconciliation differences that are explainable. but still you sort of got to follow up and know what is actually happening. And sometimes too, it could be a timing difference where, you know, when you're getting the information from the different source systems, they might have been at 2 different dates and somebody didn't realign the dates to properly put them in there. And, you know, that was, you know, that could be a problem there. So there are different scenarios that I've seen over time. And a lot of times too, the big thing is sometimes with the download, something happens, the file becomes corrupted. It's a CSV file. There may be a special character in there that throws everything off. So those will all be flagged when you're doing this too.
I think there was a question that is reconciliation done with opening trial balance, and I think between themselves the answer came out. You need the ledger dump and trial balance if you want to do the TB reconciliation for 1st April, for example. Then you need transaction dump for FY 1920 and trial balance as on 31st March.
Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely. So
yes.
I think these are the only questions. So Brian.
Okay.
I think good, excellent session, Brian. I think what is important for all the participants here today is that we got to hear from the expert himself who has designed most of the tests. And also, since he was with us here live from Canada, we could also get a sneak peek into, you know, how the developments take place. There was one other question in the other session, you know, where we are doing in India, where people talked about why is it called Idea Lab? Is it a prototype? No, it is not a prototype. These are tests which can be used directly in our day-to-day working environment. Yes. It is called Idea Lab because they came about through innovation, through user requests, which were then, you know, put in a lab, observed, and then made into final scripts to be put in the Idea Lab within Idea. So that is how I know the word is Idea Lab, but they are innovative audit apps which are ready to go, and they are not prototypes. They are the final audit apps which are there for every one of us to use in our day-to-day working environment. And more tests are being built based on user requests and based on what the experts feel around the world, you know, can be used and could be innovative for use, you know, straight away as a plugin rather than trying to build scripts and then run them and so on. So, you know, and which is readily available for all of us, you know, rather than only a few of us, you know, because maybe somebody builds a script somewhere in some company or some place, but then it can be used generally by the entire group of users using Idea. So that's how this concept of Idea Lab was propagated and put into operation, and it's been successful. I think we have one or two more questions.
Yeah, I just saw that. So the reason that you have to download the plugins is because they're not built into Idea as of yet. They may be built into the future, but right now they're not built into Idea. And because of this, because Idea basically has 6 months, a year before you actually get any updates. Like it takes many months to do this versus the plugins being within the Idea Lab. If we find something, if we enhance them or anything, we can have that updated right away and available to the users without having to wait for the next 6 months when the new version of Idea comes out. So that's why you have to download them and install them as a plugin. For Ideas, sorry, yeah.
I think Brian, Padma, who's put this question and the next one on also, how do we know if any plugin is updated? Every time we need to check. Padma is a expert user of Idea, and not only Idea, but Python and SAS and Tableau and a lot of other analytical tools. And they also use Idea very well with clients across the country. So as I said initially, you know, today we have a group of expert Idea users in there. So Brian, I think the question is, how do we know if any plugin is updated? Every time we need to check.
And unfortunately, when you download the plugins, we don't know, like we don't have the information on who has the plugins installed. So we had discussed we could do sort of mailings but we didn't want to really do that because they were kind of intrusive. So what we tried to do is with the when the come out with the idea newsletter comes out, we try to have something in there that talks about, you know, which are the newer ones, which ones have been updated and such.
Okay. Does it, I think there's another question. Is there any book on idea scripting, as we develop a lot of macros using idea script?
There's an older one. It's probably what, 15 years old now. It's called Mastering Idea Script. If you do a search for it on Amazon, you should be able to find it. I think it's like 150 or something US dollars. It's not the cheapest, actually. One sec. I don't know if you can see this. So this is what it looks like. But idea script hasn't really changed. There's been some enhancements to it, but it really hasn't been changed. So, you know, the book, even though it was written for, I think, version 9 or version 10 of idea, is actually still quite reliable on what it's saying.
Okay. Does it have an, I think there's a question, does it has an Indian version, and can it be applied on any kind of software?
So we don't have an Indian version per se. Right now, what would happen is it would default to English.
I think it's an Indian version, because in India we use English version only.
Right.
So,
yeah.
So it is an Indian version, and it can be applied on any kind of software. Yes.
Yeah.
Wherever idea
Yeah.
works, you know. So
yeah.
I think it is an Indian version. And the next question is, when sub-ledger sampling plugin will be available in Idea Lab?
We're just finalizing it with the translations. I would say probably, well, definitely within the next month, if not within the next 2 weeks. But I don't control the translations and the localization parts of that. So I got to wait for that to be all finalized.
And I think the book on idea scripting is by John Paul Mueller. Mastering
Yes, it
Idea
is.
Script. Yes, it
Yeah.
is. Yes. So I think these are the questions, Brian. So if there are any more questions, we'll be happy to. You can send an email to us, or you can send an email to Brian, or we'll forward it to him, or we'll answer it for you. So really nice having everyone in this group. Thank you very much, Brian, for your valuable time from Canada early in the morning.
Thank you very much.
And I think it was a great session. I think more importantly, because it also gave us a sneak peek into things, you know, what are the new plugins which are going to come out. I think there will be many more plugins which will come out in Idea Lab. So I would say this to all the idea experts in the group, that maybe you could write in some scripts and send it across to Brian, and maybe he could have a look at it, because you know, he could certainly vet those scripts. And I think Brian, is the ideascripting.com still working?
Yes, it is. Yep, I'm
so
still.
I think all of you can also look up ideascripting.com, because that's being maintained by Brian, and there are a lot of idea scripts over there. So you could download those scripts and use them. So with that, a very big thank you to you, Brian. And
well, thank you very
to all
much.
the participants for being with us today. Looking forward to all the participants for the next session next Wednesday, where Suman Chadda from TR Chadda, the managing partner, would be there with us on explaining his journey in undertaking analytics for the firm across the country. Thank you once again, Brian, and thanks to all the participants. Thanks a lot.
Have a great day, everyone.